All right, guys. Hey, this is Stephen Yee. I'm excited to be able to do the Sky's the Limit call with Trey Honeycutt, one of my mentors, integrity partner as well. Dude, we just got back from Dallas, man, and my hair's been on fire. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm more excited than I've ever been, and I'm talking faster than I ever have. And I say that because, you know, convention usually is for the brand new agent because that's where they can go and acquire the knowledge they need to actually implement into their business and go apply it into and go turn that into commissions, right? But I sat there going, dude, this was for me more than anybody else. Like Trey, you know what was crazy? Like, I'm going to share a story with you guys. Hopefully, you guys get it. I'm sitting in the front row I'm sitting in the front row with Trey, actually, and my wife and Frankie Euphemia to the right of me during the awards ceremony. And the gentleman and the kid that sat next to Frank, he's been in this business for 1 year. He's 24 years old. He was a law enforcement officer prior to, being an insurance agent. He's been here for 1 year. He wrote $530,000 last year, okay? Which is a big feat, which is really cool. Well, Sean goes, all right, next up, the people that wrote between 400 and 499. Okay, keep in mind, he wrote 530. He looks at Frank and I and go, does that mean I go up? And I'm like, dude, you wrote 530. That's a lot more than 499, bro. Like, but that's the stuff that we go, oh my gosh, like anybody can do this. You know what I mean? There's a guy that was on stage. Sean was like, how much did you write? He goes, I don't know, between 400 to 600. Well, the category was 500 to 750. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens at national conferences. You see some of these people and you go, Nicole, there's no way I'm not going to kill this. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, the guy tripped over his own shoe while running up onto the stage. Like he couldn't even say his own name properly, whatever. Like convention does that for us. And so, Trey, what was some of the stuff that you picked up at convention that we can implement into our business today? Like a brand new agent, all the people on the call today, what can they do to implement into their business to make 2024 their best year?
There's really nothing new under the sun. That was my biggest pickup from the whole thing, because for a long time, Frank said on the builders call today, between 2020 and 2024 was kind of weird in a lot of ways, because in 2020 we were rolling, like we were COVID helped us a ton, and
Right.
then COVID kind of went away, and then we had to make some changes and some different things, and people were transitioning to telesales after COVID because we didn't do that before, and we were trying to figure some stuff out. And what I realized is, in the last year specifically, a lot of people have really figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And when you break it down, there's nothing new under the sun. If you actually spend 40 hours a week setting appointments to talk to people about insurance and talking to people about insurance, even if that's on the phone, it's a probability that you'll be successful, not a possibility.
Right.
The people that are killing it figured that out early. And the amount of people was shocking to me. So if you looked at the award ceremony, there were nearly 1,000 people that helped over 200 families by
Yep.
themselves, that issued over 200,000 in premium. Over 750, there were almost 60 people that issued over 750 by themselves. So the one thing that we learned about telesales is that you could get more reps quicker and you have more at bats. And the thing that I learned from Barbara Corcoran is the best producers are the producers that the difference between the phenomenal producer and the mediocre producer is that everybody gets hit here. Everybody takes it on the chin. But the difference between the greats, the best of the best, and everybody else is they just stay down less time.
Right.
It only bothers them for a minute, not a week or a month.
Right.
And that's what telesales allows us to do. It allows us to face the rejection, get over it quick, and on to the next person. And that people that have been consistently focused on the work, getting in front of people, as a new agent, that's what I would want you to take away from this. This is about 40 hours a week, talking to people about insurance and setting appointments to talk to people about insurance. And then the principle that you want to do as far as building a team is let's go do it. Not you go do it, Not,
Right.
I might go do it. It's like, can I get a crew of people around me that do it with me, all moving in the same direction? Because you can run with 1,000 people, but you can't carry 2 people on your back. And I think the problem that I was facing for a while, and I got massive confidence and clarity after leaving this, is that I'm not going to drag or talk anybody into this or talk anybody into staying or talk anybody into not quitting, or I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to run. And the people that want to run can run with me because I ain't pulling anybody. Because if a few of us go in the right direction, we can overcome just about every obstacle there is in this thing. We can outright every single bad situation that you could find yourself in this business. And there is not a problem that helping 10 families a week won't solve. There isn't a problem that 10 new writers in your business won't solve. And the enthusiasm and excitement that I saw from people that for the last 24 months, 32 months, that have built the most profitable businesses in the history of FFL, if we're being completely honest, there are people that have been here 24 months that have way more profitable businesses than me or Steven ever had before
Yep.
we partnered with Integrity from scratch. That enthusiasm, that work ethic, the infectious activity and attitude, uh, dude, there's never been a time like this. Like this is where this is it. This is the time for sure.
You know what's crazy, Trey? Like we we had Hall of Fame dinner at the same table too. And sitting
Mm-hmm.
right next to me was Nat DiCarlo, who ended up speaking about how he went Hall of Fame his first year. And
Mm-hmm.
dude, for those of you guys that don't know his story, like you just hit it on the head, Trey. Like Nat was a multi millionaire. He made $1 million before the age of like 25, right? And he lives in Newport Beach still currently to this day. And he said during his speech, and it hit me so hard. He said, when you're successful and you fall, you don't fall to zero, you fall below zero. He said, I didn't just have no money, I owed more than $1 million. And he goes, and that's suffocating at his age. And he said, this business changed because once he got to protecting 10 families a week, the pressure started to fall off. The weight off his shoulders started to fall off. And it's like you said, there's nothing in this business that 10,000 a week or 10 new agents influx into your business can't help, because it's so much more exciting to be able to have that, because you can talk to the people that you need to talk to, not get drowned out by the people that have been here that are still doing the same thing. And don't get me wrong, we love those people and they're great, because we love everybody. But at the same time, it's like the new agent success story is so much more bigger and better than the ones that have been here, because it's like, dude, that's the new guy. So Trey, one of the things I picked up at national conferences is something that we've known for a long time. But like last year at national conference, we changed the IUL and annuity department from AMS, which is advanced market sales, to SRS, which was simple retirement solutions. The emphasis of how simple those two divisions are, I finally get.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to even sit here and lie to you that, like, when it was ran the previous way for the last 7, 8 years, I was like, man, I'm kind of scared to write an annuity or an IUL because it's a fancy, complex product. I don't know what I'm doing. I might botch someone's retirement plan up, right? With how simple it's been and how crazy that once we switch that word from advanced to simple, our production has gone up as a company. It was nice to hear Tom Dempsey, who is our chief distribution officer at Integrity, go, you guys are number 2 in all of it, annuities and IULs, and y'all have only been doing this for like a year. Just so y'all know, Integrity has over 200 IMOs. Like
Yeah.
prior to that, we weren't even in like the top 20. And so one of the emphasis that I've seen is like the thing I can say is like be a professional, be an actual life insurance agent. We don't have to, don't get me wrong, selling mortgage protection, final expense, life insurance is our traditional bread and butter. I'm not ever getting away from that. But adding a few IUL sales, adding a few annuity sales doesn't hurt. Dude, what blew me away was during that IUL panel when Serge was like, I wrote over 750,000 in IULs and I've had one chargeback. And I'm like, what? If I write 30 grand of final expense or mortgage protection, I'm gonna get 3 chargebacks next week. What are you talking
Right.
about? And
Right.
then the crazy part was Brad Allen was like, during the Hall of Fame dinner, he was like, I wrote $10 million worth of annuities. Sean's like, how many charged back? He goes, none. It's a higher quality of business. It is a more high net worth business. Like Trey, we saw this the other day in our Telegram chat. You know, Colton was like, man, it was a dogfight for that $30 a month policy. Like sometimes the $30 a month policies are harder than the 400 a month policies because that's really all they got. And so, like,
Right.
one of the things that I was talking to a brand new agent about today was I was like, dude, the cool part about where we're going at Family First Life is like let's break down simple math. And I'm not saying change everything you're doing. I'm saying add it onto your portfolio. So you're a professional and you carry everything. If I was going to go Hall of Fame, which is $400,000, I would have to have 500 families through final expense to go Hall of Fame because the premiums are 50 to 70 bucks ish, right? So I need more to make up the difference. If I was going to go write 400,000 on IULs, I only needed about 120 because the average case size is like 250, $400 a month. And so
Yeah.
to write the same 400,000, you actually have less and it's more stickier, which means you're more profitable, you know?
Yeah.
And then what, and I'm sorry, I'm going to land my plane. Like what blew me away was, and I love Juan Franco. He's like 60. And I love Depot, but I couldn't understand every other word he was saying. And like Serge was fired up and I had no idea what he was talking about. And I'm like, these guys have built an IUL free lead system through social media. And they write over $500,000 to $1 million plus year after year doing so. Like that can't hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and so like that's one of the things that I'm going to be making a strong emphasis is actually going, hey, I'm going to learn the IULs and the annuities heavily this year on my downtime, not during a activity time. I'm going to learn all those things so that by the time I'm presented with an opportunity, whether it's in my final expense for mortgage protection appointments, and I ask that money question, hey, what do you have that acts like life insurance? I don't. Perfect. That's an IUL client. I do. I have a 401k, IRA, blah, blah, blah. That's an annuity client. I have asked one question and I find money. Like that is the best way to do it. So turning it back to you, Trey.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. It's really interesting. Um, IULs and annuities, it's the most profitable business we have. When I look back on it, even though back in 2016, 2017, 2018, we didn't push that as hard, the times that saved my business are like IULs and annuities saved my business
Yeah.
multiple times. Now, it's a lot easier to do it now because there's so many non-med options now. They're so much friendlier to the way that we try to do it to issue the business quickly because they want the business. The economy is more ripe for the products now. The marketplace is more ripe for the products now because there's IMOs that do nothing but content creation to market IULs and annuities. That's all they do. So a lot of people are way more in tune with what the products offer. They're way more in tune with what's available in the marketplace. So when you get a chance to, with the IUL lead systems that we have, to talk to people that are interested in these products, it's a much different conversation than the $30 final expense policy. They know that the premium is $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month, and they expect to have a conversation about those types of numbers. The other thing that we figured out is that the IUL lead is the perfect recruiting lead
Yes.
because we're targeting people that are entrepreneurial minded, business minded, personally developed minded, people that want to do better, people that want to plan for the future. And when you run across the younger people that don't have the $500 or $1,000 a month to put into it, that's a perfect person to recruit. Or maybe they do have the $1,000 a month to put into it and they're 26. Well, the thing that you find out when it comes to recruiting is that people that know how to get things done know how to get things done.
Right.
If you want to build a huge business, recruit busy people. They figure out a way to make things happen. And so I think it's the perfect recruiting lead. There's people that, and I'm actually going to add an IUL illustration to my recruiting presentations
Yeah.
because that attracts a different type of professional than we used to attract when we were like, hey, let's sell final expense and, you know, for $50 to $70 a sale with 30% of the business falling off. It's a great idea. And it is a great idea. I'm not against it. It's awesome. It has allowed us to completely, utterly change our lives. But when we can market something with a higher persistency, when we have the lead sources to do it and the lead strategies to do it, it just makes sense not to leave the money on the table. And the last thing I want to say about that, when Shannon Sharp was on stage, I recorded it and I watched it 3 or 4 times. And if anything embodied FFL, like from the beginning, it was the Shannon Sharp story. Because when he was talking about, Sean asked him a question. He goes, hey, if you were going in the home to sell life insurance, how would you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And he went off on what I thought was a 20-minute tangent. And I realized at the end of the 20 minutes, I just bought life insurance
Yep.
because for such a long time, let me tell you the main part of the FFL canon. The main part of FFL canon is this is not transactional. This is not a transactional sale. It's about people. It's an emotional sale. It's not transactional. It's not just getting you a quote. And what Shannon Sharp did with us is is how I sold life insurance. This was a cathartic experience for me because I would tell a story when I would sit down with people and I would help them understand why they need this. And the same thing is true when it comes to the opportunity. A lot of us have forgotten. I don't want to say forgotten. I've never forgotten. I've never forgotten what it was like, that the fact that the biggest fight in my marriage was the fact that I asked my wife to go buy some macaroni and cheese. And I walked home from the supermarket because she bought a pack of 15 for $17 and we didn't have the money because all we could afford was 2 or 3 boxes. And it was the first of the month that she was trying to buy enough to get us through it. That was the worst fight we ever had. In fact, if there was ever a time where we almost got divorced, it was over that. And I made a decision there that I never, ever wanted to have that happen again. And then FFL showed up in my life. And what Stephen helped people understand, which so many people are like, Stephen was the best speaker. Stephen is Schroeds. Okay.
And that's Schroeds is a tough one to follow.
um,
Oh
but
man.
but not squandering this opportunity. So many of us are praying for an answer, and the answer is right in front of you. It's get on the phone, share your story, talk to some people about life insurance. Don't let it be transactional. Don't be afraid to get uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to have uncomfortable conversations. Do it over and over and over again. Find people that are like minded and do it with those people. And this absolutely, guys, I hope that we don't ever come across like the people that forgot what it was like to not have leads, bank account about to go negative, not know how we're going to pay our staff. Like we've been through that. A lot of the challenges that agents are having, we've all had those challenges and we haven't forgotten what that's like. And watching Shannon Sharp reminded me of just how important that really is. So that's probably my biggest takeaway from the whole thing.
Dude, it was so good because, Trey, we learned something like 10 years ago, which was story sell, facts tell. And when he got up there and told the story about his grandmother that raised him and his siblings, 9 total kids, but 3 of them were, her grandkids, which included him and his sister and brother. Like, I cried. You can ask Chanel. I sat there because when he was talking about how, you know, you know, grandma, like, I got it. Like, you don't have to worry about me. I'm gonna take care of Spanky and Lizzie. And like, and she was able to take that deep breath. I remember my mom talking to my wife and my wife going, it's okay. Like, we got this. And she was able to go, we're good. Right. And I remember we had our launch conference in Phoenix. My mom had said, I got a call from City of Hope. And they said, hey, we need you to speak with your mom. And I'm like, I'm on a plane. I'm like, I'm getting my rental car. I just landed in Phoenix. Give me a few seconds. I'll call you guys back. I called back And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And then I called my mom and she said, hey, I effing quit. And I remember going like what? Like you can't quit. Like you got a grandson on the way. Your granddaughter loves you. Like I'm your only child. Like what will we do? And like just one more day, mom, one more day. And I remember like telling someone that, and they were like, dude, you're so freaking selfish, Steve. And I was like, how am I selfish? And they said, because you're not the freaking one that's going through it, bro. She is. She's going through the radiation. She's going through the chemo. You don't know what pain she feels. And when he said that, I literally had tears rolling down my eyes because when he talks about the story about how she went, and then, not everybody's going to have a Shannon to pay for an entire funeral. And and I say that because after my mom had passed, that was the first person's funeral that I've went to that I actually knew, right? Like I've gone to other people's funeral, but I didn't really know the person that died. I knew someone related to them. And you couldn't stop me from selling insurance. Like everybody was going to say yes. At one, if I sat down with you, I was going to tell you that story, how that went. I was going to tell you about how I'm in freaking probate and it's been 2 years and I still don't have my home. And what's crazy is like when I dig into that story and I share that with my clients and they can feel the emotion of what we do, it's every single time of the week they buy. And I'm not doing it because they buy, but it's because they can relate and they can put themselves in my shoes and they can see how that looks like. And one of the things that I like when I was brand new and I didn't know I didn't have that story, all I did was borrow other people's stories. I borrowed, one of our friends, Paul's story. I borrowed Andrew's stories. I borrowed people's stories to share with my clients to go, this is actually how it happens. And that's how I sold a lot and protected a lot of families because they need to be able to see that. And if there's anything that Trey and I can tell you, man, like it's stories sell, facts tell. I'm not saying it's not rapport building. It's just being able to share an experience, and sharing that experience with your clients, they'd appreciate you for it. So Trey, that was money, man. I'm sorry I didn't. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. If y'all have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A or the chat. We'll love to be able to answer them. But um,
Well, but I
go
was
ahead.
thinking one more thing while you're saying that. As far as emotional, um, the heart of this company has never changed. It hasn't. This has always been. I mean, if you ask Sean, why did we have the growth that we had? He's convinced it's because of the Dream Center.
Yep.
And a lot of people hear, people are jaded. So they hear that and go, oh, well, he thinks because he donates money that God's going to bless him. It's much deeper than that. It was about the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was about the people. It was the fact that we put the families of the clients that we help first. And we root for people to win. We believe in everybody. We don't count on everybody, but we believe in everybody. Everybody can do it. I know we're not allowed to say that on social media. And it doesn't mean everybody can do it the way you are today. You might have to change. You might have to make some changes, but you're capable of making changes. You don't have to stay stuck where you're at.
Right.
And for me, the most impactful thing at the conference was the speech that Bailey gave at the Hall of Fame dinner. And I know a lot of you weren't able to, there were a lot of people here that were there. But Bailey was a recovering addict that came with Pastor Matthew to speak at the event to talk about what the Dream Center does. And one of the things that was so powerful about her story, there were so many things so powerful about the story, but everybody there roots for the underdog. Everybody there honors hard work and faith and what it takes to take the leap of faith and step out when you don't have all the answers and to do the work when it doesn't seem like it's working. Um, that is that's part of us to our core. And at this conference, that that shined through. That's what we're about. We're about serving people, people over profits. This isn't just a way to go out and provide for our families. It's to make sure that everybody else can provide for theirs and to put people in a great position with a great opportunity, and also making sure that our clients have the opportunity to take care of the most difficult things that they're going to have to take care of financially as well. So as long as we keep that straight and we never get that confused, and what Alex Morton said, sell it, buy leads, sell insurance, recruit, 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 get wealthy.
Yep.
That's the answer. And it's our responsibility to do it. We're not going to squander it. We're going to march to it. So probably pretty much the same thing I said last time, but I was
Yeah, no,
motivated. I was
that's
still talking. I was still thinking about it. Stephen talking about being the president of your own house. So
dude, what's cool is, for those of you that haven't had a chance to hear the story of what Bailey was talking about, she was talking about she grew up in Northern California and had a crazy drug addiction and got caught with, stuff she shouldn't have got caught with, and she went to jail. And then part of her thing was she had to go to the Dream Center because her uncle was there. And what was crazy was, she's been sober for like over 2.5 years now, but she still has something on her record and she's on probation. And the thing that, dude, you talk about emotional, like she was saying that usually when she flies and shares her testimonial and stuff, the probation officer, parole officer, whatever it is, they just sign off and say, you're good, just go, right? And this time they asked her to come to court. And she was like, wow, like that's really crazy. Like, why am I going to court to share a testimony when normally I never need to? And so she's sitting there with her public defender going, and he's going like, why are you going to Dallas? And she's like, I'm going to Dallas because, I'm going with, Pastor Matthew in the Dream Center. I'm going to Family First Lives Conference and I'm going to be sharing my testimonial there. And we're trying to help raise donations for the Dream Center so we can continue this program. And they're like, wow, like that's such an awesome story. So they get in front of the judge. The judge goes, approved, like you can go to the Dream Center. And then the public defender goes, hey, judge, are we off the record now? She goes, yes. And she goes, the reason why Bailey's going to Dallas is because she's going here to help raise money, share the testimonial, do this, this, and this. And the judge basically said, Bailey, how cool would it be if we expunged your record today? And Bailey was basically in tears saying, like, if it wasn't because I was coming to Dallas to speak with Family First Life, my record wouldn't be expunged because I wouldn't have the opportunity to be in front of that judge. And she was talking about how God works in mysterious ways and amazing ways. And just, it was crazy, man. It was really, really good. And so it was great. But Jordan, Jordan has a question, Trey, and I'll read it out loud for everybody is, when you're speaking to a client and it's just, no, 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 not interested. How do you best build on that situation?
well, I think the main thing is, first of all, you have to understand not everybody's going to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there, so so no matter what we talk about, there's always going to be people that are going to tell you no. And I don't know what the percentage is. Maybe it's 25% of the people, they just fill stuff out to mess with you, whatever. Um, but the right way to transition through that is to not let it be transactional. Like if the guy's name is Bob, it's like, Bob, listen, I understand you're saying no, but I want you to know you're not saying no to me, you're saying no to your family. And then tell a story, you know? Um, my cousin Stephanie, I'll give you an example, Bob. My cousin Stephanie, um, her mom told her that she had life insurance and her mother passed away. And it was a terrible situation. When she was a teenager, they fought all the time. They had a very strained relationship. They tried to salvage that relationship over the years, and they were in a good place. She knew that I sold life insurance. So when she was going through the apartment to get all of her mom's stuff out within a week, because that's what the apartments required that she did, 2,000 miles away from where she lived, she had to get her mom's stuff out. She didn't have any money. She had to take time off of work. Um, she was going through stuff. She called me at midnight my time. So it was 2 p.m. It was 2 a.m. where she was. And she was crying. And she goes, my mom supposedly has this life insurance policy. I'm behind on my bills. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to get all this stuff out of here. Can you help me figure out what she had? And I said, well, if she was paying for it, if you go through her bank statement, it'll be on there. So I had her get out the bank statement that she found, a recent one, and she read through every single transaction. And there was a transaction on there from, I want to say it was Lafayette Life, but I don't think they do final expense. So it may not have been that one. But there was a transaction on there that sounded like life insurance. And so the next day, she called the company because there was a number next to it. And it turns out her mom had a policy. And she called me crying and she goes, Trey, my mom really did love me.
Wow.
So when you're saying no, what you're saying to your kids, it's the last love letter you're going to leave them. Do you want your kids to think you don't love them because you can't spend $57 a month to make sure they don't have to go through a financial crisis and have a car wash or a bake sale? I know you weren't raised like that, Bob. Neither was I. Like, now you might soften that a little bit, but that's a lot different than going, well, how about we do 7,500 for $40? It's a lot. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about when I say don't be transactional. And if Bob goes, you're an idiot, you're stupid, at least when you hang up the phone, you're not kicking yourself going, you know, what more could I have done? And a lot of the frustration in this business comes from knowing that there's really only a few things that you got to learn how to handle. And when you meet that resistance, you're mad at yourself because you haven't learned how to handle it yet. But if you commit to it and you realize that this is not just a transaction, it's not just a quote, it's not just let's see if you qualify, let's have it fit the budget. It's what the insurance will actually do. Spend most of your time thinking and communicating that. So
Yeah,
that's
that was
my
really
answer.
good. I'm not going to answer it because my answer sucks compared to that one. I was gonna, I was gonna say you got to find out why they're saying no, but tell a story. But see, you know what's crazy? Like Trey, when like when you set when I was selling insurance face to face, there was only really like 2 to 3 objections we can get, which was I need to think about it, which was can I push it out on a further date, right? And so what's crazy is I had 2 stories for that scenario. So like if someone said, "Hey, I needed to think about it," I'd be like, "Hey, we did the whole apply decline thing," but then I would share a story. I'm like, "Let me tell you a crazy story." I had one of my colleagues, he had a client. Client was, playing with electricity and he's done it for years. And what happened was he wanted to push the draft date, but luckily the agent was strong enough to not let him think about it and just put the policy in place because when he went to work, he died from an accident. Now that wife and daughter has a house to live in, right? It's told a second story about pushing a draft date. They wanted to push the draft date and the policy wasn't going to issue until Monday, but the mom got in a car accident Saturday, died. The insurance company, which was a miracle, paid the entire death claim because it was non-intentional injury. And like I share, obviously I dive deeper and you bring the emotion with that, but guys, if you guys can learn anything about sales, you got to have a story for every objection out there. It makes your life so much easier. You just share stories and then they see themselves in the stories, man, that's a wrap, is over. So but great question, Jordan. And by
And
the
we did
way,
that even with David Goggins. When you talk about seeing yourself in the story,
oh
when
my
he was
gosh, when
talking
he was
about
talking
running
about
around
boat
that
crew
track,
2, I was like, let's
that's
go.
on the boat crew too right now. It's that we were all, it's like we were there. That's
Yeah,
that's the power of it. So
absolutely. um that was funny. That was really Goggins. Man, Goggins put me back in like high school basketball, like Hell Week or something. I was like, I'm in. Um, but that was really
yeah.
good. Um, but yeah, absolutely. If you know, Jordan, I want you to know, and Trey just said it to start the call. You're not gonna close everyone, and nobody does. Which why Barbara Corcoran and David Goggins said the same thing. Success is dependent on how quick you can bounce back. I call it a bounce back rate. Like I used to talk about when you make phone calls and you like let's say I call Trey, "Hey Trey, this is Steven getting back to you," and he's like, shut up, click. Some of us go, "Oh, that was so painful. I'm gonna go grab a water bottle and a snack. I'll come back in 5 minutes." While the top producer goes, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna call the next person on the list." Like right then and there. They're like, "Who's Trey? Don't even know him. I'm gonna call Bob." Right? Like it's how much time in between your failures because you're going to fail. And here's the cool part is you only have to get it right once, but you're going to, and it's how quick can you get that? We call it a bounce back rate. So hopefully that helps. If anybody has any other questions, but you know, Trey, I want to be very clear too. I'm not telling everybody on here to go, "Hey, drop everything you're doing and strictly sell IULs and annuities." That's stupid. Don't do that. Add to it. It's kind of like leads. right? Like when I was running insurance and I was a brand new agent, I ran a lot of final expense leads. And then I added mortgage protection leads. I didn't take mortgage and delete final expense because if I didn't know what I was doing, I'd be out of business really quickly, right? For those of you that are already doing all the stuff that you have, right? Rami is exactly right. Diversity is key. Add another source, social media IUL leads, right? Trey, within the ILC, you just wrote a case the other day for like 5,000. Can you kind of share
Yeah.
that? Like adding into that and just going, hey, I'm slowly going to get better at other areas and I'm a well rounded agent. I'm not just an FE agent. I'm not just a mortgage protection agent, right? Because here's the other thing, there's a lot of companies out there that only specialize in one thing, which is why we kick all their asses, right? Like there's a company out there that rhymes with America. They only buy term and invest the rest, right? There's other companies out there that only sell whole life, like big whole lives. There's only companies out there that sell only final expense. There's companies out there that only sell IULs. At Family First Life, we sell it all. And if you know how to actually sell against those policies or sell for those policies, it makes you that much more dangerous when you're meeting with the client. So
Yeah.
Trey, can you talk about the IUL leads in the ILC?
In the ILC. Yeah, there were a lot of updates to the ILC too that I'm pretty excited about. But
Phenomenal.
one of the ones that a lot of people don't take advantage of is the automate and save. You know,
Yes.
the ILC um, IUL leads are $30 a piece, but if you do a standing order on automate and save, you save 15%. So that brings it down to $27 a piece.
Right.
Um, and they'll fill them. I mean, you'll get, if you want 20 a week, you can get 20 a week. You want 30 a week, you can get 30 a week. Um, it's pretty great. So the IUL bootcamp, that is a foundational piece of every new agent needs to be on that. Every new agent needs to go through it just so they can get contracted with IUL carriers. But if you want the magic bullet for presenting to these IUL leads, it's Calvin Wright's opening and it's Juan Franco's presentation on the
Mm-hmm.
NLG illustration. People say, well, I like F&G because of this. I'm telling you how to start. Okay. It's Calvin's opening and it's Juan Franco's presentation. If that's the basis of everything you do, you will find premium and people will do it and they'll buy it. And it won't be too complex for them to understand. Those guys keep it really, really simple. And just realizing that, there's numbers involved. There's people that aren't going to do it right away. There's people that are going to do it that are going to be underwritten. So it might take 5 weeks to get paid. But there's also people that they can get approved up to a $2 million face amount on the spot. You can get paid tomorrow. So that one I sold for 434 last week. Anybody would have sold that one. I had another one. The guy was going to do $2,000 a month. He's like, you
Jeez.
know what? I think I just want to buy $1 million term. And I was like, okay, that's 575. He's like, call me today at 4. I'm like, okay, I want to sell a $575 million term that's going to get issued, non-medically,
Right.
which is cool. So and that was an ethos lead, by the way. Uh,
Nice.
so so all kinds of different leads in there, but understanding the IUL lead, what that could do for your business, the one of the things that we always talk about is like extended draft dates and all that stuff. And I would talk to people and I'm like, hey, why didn't you help 20 families last month? And they're like, well, I did, but a lot of them were extended draft dates. And I'm like, no, you don't understand that the people that issued 20, they had extended draft dates. Some of them did too. Like that's part of it. So when an IUL is part of your process, you're going to have IULs that you write this month that are going to issue in March. You're going to have what you write this month that are going to issue in April. You'll write them in March, they'll issue in March. You'll write them in March, they'll issue in May. If you just make that part of your process, your pipeline will get fuller, the cash flow will be better, the persistency will be higher, and it doesn't have to interfere with anything else that you're doing. And a big part of this is staying in step with what the company promotes. That's how you get momentum in this business, not bucking the system and doing your own thing. That way, when people go to other trainings and they hear about IULs, you're talking about it too, and people aren't conflicted. That's how we get a ton of momentum. Going to the events, they're talking about IULs, we're talking about IULs. They show up to a training in Georgia next week, and they're talking about IULs and the IUL boot camp and why we need to do simple retirement solutions and why SRS liftoff is important. I'm not keeping my team away from the fire. I'm circling the fire. I'm circling the wagons and bringing people closer to the fire. That way, this is totally dependent upon me. I can leverage the system that's in place. And it's already proven to be way more profitable for a lot of people. Juan Franco, his team issued $19 million, issued $16 million as a team for the year with 19 writers. And they're all over 60. So,
You said it, not
and
me. That's
the
facts, by
best
the way.
line was Zach Trudowski with Dan, and he's like, Dan looks like the guy from Jurassic Park. And I said, you know what? He actually does. He has the hat and everything. So
That's so funny. You know what? And that's the part that I kind of gently wish that upon all of us is like, I was looking at the IUL panel and the annuity panel. I'm like, it's not a lot of folks that are young there, although majority of our company is. And it's a challenge for you guys to be able to learn that stuff so you can put it in your playbook because those guys that are more mature, they figure something out. They get the premium, they get the persistency, they get to keep more, So and I'll add this because I know Chris has a question. I'm gonna hit it, Chris. I promise you. Every conference I try to go, what one thing that I take that I'm gonna actually go implement. The first conference that I went to was in Vegas. And I remember when I came to Vegas, there was this guy named Todd Hegna. He talked about annuities and he said, if you get this objection during your annuities, this is your rebuttal. And I literally took that, and the following month I wrote a $500,000 annuity, right? Which was really, really cool. This conference, one of the things that I picked up, and this is my nugget, I heard a guy say, most people in America, especially if you're running the IUL leads, they make at least $25 an hour-ish, right? That's about $40,000, $50,000 a year. And he goes, look, most people work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, right? He goes, what if on the 8 hours a day, we took 1 hour and we set that aside for your future retirement plan, and then the other 7 hours to pay bills and do all the stuff that you need to do, right? Have discretionary income, whatever it is. He goes, because if you did that, do you see the how taking $1 1 hour out of your 8 hours to build your future plan? You go, yeah. And he goes, well, Steve, $20 is 1 hour of their work, 5 days a week, it's $100, 4 weeks a month, it's a $5,000 case. And I'm like, bro, you just broke down a $5,000 case that easy for me. Like 1 out of 8 hours, reallocate that to your future. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that. Like I can pitch that all day long. I can pitch that. You know what I mean? And so that was the nugget I took. I was like, it made it simple for me to go, you get people to spend $400 by saying it that way. I can do that. That wasn't difficult for me to understand. So, but Chris has a question, Trey. Dial schedule. What time are you dialing final expense leads versus what time are you dialing mortgage, annuity, and IUL leads?
okay, so philosophically, there's never a bad time to dial. Want to make sure
Exactly.
everybody understands that. Um, most people just aren't dialing the lead. So, assuming there's one or two things that can happen, you're either not doing enough or you're not doing something right. And 9.5 times out of 10, you're not doing enough. Now, Chris probably already knows that. So now that we've broken that down and I've said my preamble, it probably makes sense if you're doing it segregated, where you're trying to get the most bang for the buck, to dial final expense in the earlier hours. In the
Yeah.
evenings, people that do IULs, mortgage protection annuities, they probably work. I always have more success with those later in the afternoon evenings, you know. So,
Right.
but that doesn't mean if all you have is mortgage protection leads, don't dial at 8 a.m. and wait till 6 p.m. because that's therapy for life. If you do that, you won't ever have enough appointments. You won't ever make enough sales. You got to
Right.
get the time in on the phone. So dial what you got all day long. If you have more than enough, start thinking about how to be more efficient with it.
Yeah,
So,
because you have people that are anomalies too, right? Like in mortgage protection, you have mortgage protection leads. There's some people that are retired, senior
yep.
mortgage. You have some people that are nurses. They work 4 10-hour shifts or 3 12s. Therefore, they have like three, like it just happens. You might catch them on graveyard. Um, you have people that are self-employed that own a business. So therefore they can technically meet you whenever they want. It's not everybody is, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and you only can call them between 5 to 8. That's not the case. And same thing with final expense. So, Trey's answers are the best answers. It's just call. Like, now, after you start calling and then you're actually in the habit of calling a few hundred people a day, whatever it is, then you can probably dial it in and get better. But like the first thing is just go dial first, right? Um, Trey, Chris asked another question. Can you talk a little bit about the health insurance business in FFL?
Yes, there's some people that do health insurance um, as a way to get in front of people to talk to them about other things. My take on health insurance is that it's a really good way to recruit people out of other IMOs that do life insurance, to get them in on that side so that they can see that we're much better for life insurance too, and then come with us. That way
Right.
you don't have to fight the battle of who's better. It's just
Right.
offering them something they don't have to get them here. That's a good strategy. Do I sell health insurance? I don't sell health insurance.
Right.
John Mike says he'd rather chew thumbtacks than sell health insurance
Lace with
because
cyanide.
laced with cyanide. And what you'll find out, I mean, on the health insurance, I mean, we recruit a lot of people from health insurance, and the thing that they hate is the service work, the amount of service work, um, and the commissions, and the fact that a lot of commissions are as earned, and it's hard to make a living that way. So, life insurance is just about getting in front of people, helping people, telling stories, making it make sense, and doing a lot of it. And then the service work comes when somebody passes away, uh, which keeps you in front of prospects that are interested in talking to you about life insurance, where majority of your time can be spent in phase one activity that makes you money today. And the most money today, most bang for your buck. So that's what we're excited about. Somebody helps 400 families a year with life insurance. That's, $400,000 worth of deposits.
Right.
So that's a really good thing.
And the cool part, Trey, is, Eric Bosworth came from health insurance.
Right.
I
The
actually bought
fastest
my
horse on the track came from
is
health
from a health
insurance.
insurance company. Matter of fact, I bought my health insurance from him prior to having health benefits through Integrity. He was the guy that I bought my health insurance from. Tyler Adams referred him to me. And what Trey said is on the dot, and which is funny because he sold it to Neen and Hayden, Josh and Alondra, and all of us were like, "Why the hell are you selling health? Sell life." And he was like, maybe. And then boom, go figure. He's the MVP of the company. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's got it down. So, um, Jordan Jackson, love it, says, "What are some simple recruiting questions when catching people on the go in person, Trey?"
Simple recruiting questions, catching people on the go,
Yeah.
like people you don't know. I'm assuming that you're talking about cold market. Um, okay, so if let's say I go out to eat, I go to Red Robin or I go to 24-hour fitness. Okay, so I just did this actually. So the girl at the desk at 24-hour fitness that I see every single day, I basically asked her the other day. I said, "Hey, do you keep your options open as far as income? Or are you planning on working for 24-hour fitness and waking up at 3 a.m. for the rest of your life? Just curious." And she goes, "Well, it depends." I go, "If I could show you a way to double your income without doubling your hours, would you be open to at least learning more? If not, I won't ever bring it up." And she goes, "Sure, what is it?" "Okay, give me your cell. I'll text you this." And I text her the video. That was it. So, to run that back, um, are you open to another way of making income? Or are you planning on working here for the next 30 years with though and make it sound really bad? Like, if you see the guy at Nordstrom's and he's selling you shoes, "Hey, are you open to making extra income part time, or are you just planning on staying here for the rest of your life, smelling other people's feet?"
Right.
Like, make it where like the other option just sounds completely ludicrous and dumb, and they'll always go, "Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense." Um, a good little preamble. People are like, "Hey, what is it?" Just say, "Hey, my company is looking for 1099 contractors to help people enroll in insurance benefits to better their family situation. I can't make you any promises, but it might put you in a better situation than you are now. And I think it's something you could start part time. If I get you some information and you like it, I can introduce you to the right people. Is that something you'd like to learn more about?" And they'll say, "Yeah." So if I could, would you? If I could show you a way to do this, would you take a look at some information? If I could, would you?
There you go. That's so good. By the way, don't assume everybody's broke. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a network marketing thing that I learned from like 10 years ago. Like you walk into the Pizza Hut and you go, "Hey man, I know you're broke because you work here. Are you curious to make like, dude, don't offend someone as you're about to prospect them."
Right. Well, that's a
Matter
good
of
point too.
fact, matter of fact, the best thing you do is like overly hype their job because then they bring themselves down.
Right.
Like they bring themselves down. Like you go, man, I know you're killing it here. Like you got to be making a lot of money working here because your service is such, phenomenal. Um, would you ever? And they're like, no, I'm not. Oh, wow. Well, if that's the case, are you, curious to adding a secondary income that can help you make a full time income? And kind of like what Trey said. And they go, yeah, what is it? Send them a link. So
And to that point, the girl at the gym I see every day, so she complains to me about her job. So that's why I opened it that way, because I knew that that was kind of a hot button. Because I
right.
know she isn't happy and she doesn't want to stay there forever. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
if it's just somebody you meet, the best thing to do is compliment them. First of all, tell them they're doing a great job. Say, our company's hiring, can't make any promises. Might be a good fit, may not be. Make it make sense. So,
Yeah. We're looking for sharp people that look like you.
yep.
Based on the service that we got today, you'd be a good fit. Stuff like that. But good stuff. Well, hey, Trey, I appreciate you, man. I really do. I'm going to give you guys next week. I'm excited because we have Bobby Bridges and Madison Hill from America. They're going to be doing our team call next week. And you're like, why are they doing our team call? Because they're dropping the new IUL. So
Woo!
they're going to be dropping. By the way, the IUL comes out on the 23rd. Next week's the 12th. And you're like, why are we dropping it so early? Because we're the first agency to get the news, baby. That's why. So we will have Bobby Bridges and Madison Hill go over their IUL product, that simplified issue. And what's really, really cool for Bobby and Madison, because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited to be able to see it. They're going to smoke Moo on the rates. Like it's going to be so good. Um, Bobby told me, I don't know if I could say this, but I'm going to say it. They might get rid of CBO because of how good the IUL is. Cheaper, better, more guarantees, all that stuff. So excited to be able to have that. So if y'all do me a favor, put this in your schedule next week. We will have Americo on our call to be able to go over the new IUL. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you guys need anything, let us know. Reach out. And and I'll end with this. If you got back from conference and you go, I don't know what I should do to apply the information, call us. If you work with Trey, call Trey. If you work with me, call me. If you don't work with any of us, call the manager you work with. Call us. We'd be more than glad to teach you, show you, and implement the things with you so you can make 2024 your best year. So as always, appreciate you guys. See you at the top. Have a great one.